Hello everyone and welcome back to another Kokka video. Today we are going to be going over the top 9 most effective shields in Kokka. Yeah, I kind of came one short of 10, so we're going to do the top 9 instead of the top 10 most effective shields of Kokka. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now I am going to start off by saying that this list is, in my opinion, okay? From my knowledge of Kokka and my opinion of why they are in the why these shields are in the list, and why I ranked them at what they are now. So, now let's get into it. So first up, we have the gladiatorial rhombus, is what we call it, not how we call it, but yeah. Anyway, so it's called the rhombus because it's a rhombus. It was usually held this way rather than a square, even though the symbol's like this, but it was actually usually held like this for the most part when in actual combat. So these shields were primarily used for gladiatorial battles. So why did I even bother putting them on the top 10 or the top 9 list? I'll tell you why. And like they're small, right? They're super small. It's like no protection at all, nothing. Why are they here? I'll tell you why. Because they are small and light. That is both their weakness and their strength. You see, when you put this on, it is a great self-defense weapon and great for dueling, okay? So, instead of holding a big, massive, like, army shield for, like, self-defense or just, like, dueling, this is something you want rather than a big ol' rhombus shield, for example. Not only that, but it's also thick. It's like really thick for a Kokka shield. And it's light. It's very light, actually, and it's very comfortable to wear as well. And then its disadvantage is why I put it at number 10 or 9 is because of its size, and there's just better options. That's all. Anyway, on to number 2. For number 2, we have the arm guard shield. So these type of shields were specifically worn on the forearm. Shiz, holy crap. Alright, sorry, my bad. Obviously, so, like, that makes no sense, because look at how small it is. This thing is so incredibly small. How is this effective at all, let alone on the list and at number 2? It's so small. And I will show you why. Okay, so I've put on the arm guard shield. So it's like this, okay? It's supposed to go around the wrist, so your left hand is still free. So this type of shield was actually got its inspiration from an early Fardonian style shield, or not Fardonian, sorry, a Japanese in Kokka. An early Japanese shield. They had these kind of, except instead of like instead of being attached to the wrist, it was actually attached to the hand. So it was like, basically, the purpose of it was to deflect blows, if you will. Like, just like if a sword's coming at you and they're like swinging at you, you could basically just hit it out of the way and then like use your right hand to like come in for a deadly blow with like a sword. Not only that, but since now that your left hand's available, you could also hold one right here. It protects. Jeez, holy crap! I'm slurring my words. It protects your knuckles, so that way you can get in nice and close and not have to worry about that. So this is an incredibly effective dueling shield, and not only that, but also absolutely beautiful for self-defense. It allows your both arms to be free, but it gives you quite a bit of protection on your arm. Not very good for an actual field battle, but in terms of self-defense or gladiatorial battles, it is an absolutely beautiful shield. And it's thin, but it's also very light. Very incredibly light. Like, you can hardly notice it. So, on to number 3. We have the Spartan Skirmisher Shield. Okay, so we're kind of increasing in size as we go. Or kind of, anyway. So the Spartan skirmisher shield. Okay, same thing with the last two. It's small and it's light, so it's relatively concealed. However, that's not why I put it at number. Well, that is part of the reason I put it at number 3, but that's not the main reason. The main reason is this, like this what's it called? Half circle, I guess. That's the reason. So it's easy to put on. If I can. Jeez. Okay. Okay. So you put it on. It protects your arm, so like it's not exposed out of that. So the reason this circle is so important to the design is because I don't know if the Spartans intentionally did this, but when the Spartans were came back to Rome, like when they were re-Romanized, I suppose, if you will, the Romans found this shield very effective for cavalry. So cavalry, they used to use these round shields here, right? And now with these, and those are like kind of big and like not heavy, but they're just kind of in the way. So when the Romans found this, they're like, genius, because cavalry, they use spears, and now with that they can charge, right? So originally when the cavalry was charging, they had to put their spear to the side and then the big old round shield in front, and they kind of blocked their view. Now with this hole, they could both look through and put their spear through, so they had their shield in front of them, the spear out, and they could see through it. Not only that, but it's also smaller and lighter and offers a relatively good amount of protection considering its size. That is why I put it at number 7. I keep saying 1, 2, and 3. That was 9, 8, and 7. This is number 7. I apologize. Okay, on to number 6. For number 6, we have the Order of the Trees Hoplite Shield. So the reason I put this at number 1, or number 6, my bad, I'm so sorry, is because of when it was used and how it was used, not because of the design itself. So, it's really thick. It's actually, in fact, I think it's the heaviest shield out of all of them. Sorry for that. Anyway, so it's the heaviest out of all of them, and it just tired you very, very fast. Now, that sounds like all bad, almost all bad, just like an absolute trash shield, right? Well, to today's standards, it's really not that effective. But back then, when it was used and how it was used, that's why I put it at number 6. You see, back during the Roman Civil War, combat was mostly, most people were using these small rectangular shields. And then, like, clubs or swords, so, like, very lightly armed and, like, unprotected for the most part. Like, those were just, like, to deflect, like, blows. That's about it. So when the Order of the Trees came up with this massive shield, they could, like, form up in shield walls, pretty much, and just kill anyone that came to them, because they were so under-armored. So, and then with this, it was big, heavy, they couldn't move very fast, but they didn't need to. They just needed to kill. The shield protected them from every blow their enemies dealt them, and they couldn't. That's why it's so effective and iconic. Not only that, but I believe this is, it's also the largest round shield ever made in Kokka history as well. So yeah, that's the reason why I put it at number 6, just because of when it was used and how it was used. Other than that, not a very good shield overall by today's standards, but I put it at number 6 because of when and how it was used. Coming in at number 5, we have the Britannian rectangular shield. Now, I don't actually have one right now. I may have one in the future, but I don't have one right now. Unfortunately, I have a video clip of me going over some Britannian gear, so we're just going to cut to that. Okay, so as you can see, it's just a skinnier rectangular shield. It kind of left your arm a bit exposed. It was kind of awkward to hold as well. However, it was of the largest Tuscan shields, and probably some of the. I don't know. It was just it served its purpose, but like I don't know. It was just better than the Romans, not the Romans, sorry, the Order of the Trees hoplite shield and pretty much everything else before it, simply because of its size. It's light enough. It's wieldable. That's really all I have to say about it. Overall, not super effective, but better than the rest. Alright, we're in the top 4. In number 4, we have the Fardonian round shield. Okay, well, Fardonian, yeah, so I'd say Fardonian. So, let me explain. Rome was the first to create these round shields, and Fardonia, so after that, Rome kind of moved on to rectangular shields, and Fardonia later, when Fardonia was created, they later created hoplite units. So they took the round shield and made it thinner, lighter, and more usable. So, and yeah, a bit smaller than like the Order of the Trees hoplite shield, but that's alright. So the reason I put this in number 5 is because its design, it's all around a very well-made shield. I mean, there's not a lot of flaws to it. It's very basic, but it's also very effective in most situations. Offers a great deal of protection, especially the thinner version. It's actually incredibly light and very, very wieldable. Yeah, the only reason it's not higher is just because there's just better options. That's the only reason. I mean, this thing has almost no flaws other than, like, yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's a very universal shield. I rank it at number 5 or 4 for that reason. It's just a very wieldable, very universal shield. So, I rank it at number 5 for that reason. Sorry, I said number 5 for the last shield. I meant number 4. Anyway, this is number 3, top 3. Okay. The Roman oval shield. Okay, so this is iconic for auxiliary units, okay? The Roman army gave these out to auxiliary units. Like, literally the only thing this thing has ever been used for is for auxiliary soldiers, okay? So, I ranked it at number 3 because it's kind of like it's like a breed of two shields. So it's a mix of the Roman scutum and the Spartan rhombus shield. Okay, so as you can see, the oval shield shares a few traits with each one. First of all, the rounded edges comes from the rounded corners of the scutum, and the shape itself, like the tall, large shape, comes from the rhombus shield. But here's another reason why it's closer related to the scutum. Its arm strap design is identical to that of a scutum, and the rhombus shield just use the simple arm guard, while there's an extra wrist strap on the scutums and the oval shield. While the rest of them have just regular arm straps. So it's a mix of the two. So it offers the protection and the size of, like, almost the size of the rhombus shield, but the effectiveness of the scutum. So here's the problem with the rhombus shield, and this is why it's not on the list. It's so incredibly big. Now they managed to like make the oval shield big and like protective, but small enough to where it doesn't absolutely get in the way like the rhombus shield does. So therefore it's number 3. Alright, 2 more. At number 2 we have the early Roman scutum. Okay, so okay, sorry, my bad. So the reason I put this here instead of just skip to the regular scutum is because of the same reason I put the Order of the Trees Hoplite Shield, when it was used and how it was used. So let me explain. So after the Roman Civil War, when Rome was founded, they went from the hoplite shield, round hoplite shield, to these square shields to help make better formations and shield walls. Now, when the Egyptian War started and the Egyptians used hit-and-run tactics, which absolutely annihilated the super heavy infantry that couldn't chase them down, Rome came up with a smaller, lighter, slicker design than the Roman, I call it a square shield, but the early Roman scutum is what we call. The early Roman shield is what we call it, actually. But the official name's early Roman scutum. Anyway, so they came up with the first scutum design. This was it. So as you can see, it's slim. It's almost as slim as the Britannian style, but not quite. It's a little wider. Anyway, so it's thin. It's a lot thinner. See, for example, versus this, which made it so much lighter, which allowed the legionaries, to chase after the Egyptian infantry and kill them. And not only that, a bonus is that you could use almost the exact same formations and shield walls as you could with this, and then some. So they stuck with it. And not only that, the first wrist guard, the wrist strap, was made, opposed to the regular arm guard, or the arm strap. They attached a wrist strap for better grip and better to make it more secure. So that's why I rank it number 2. And before I reveal number 1, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on which one you like the best, and if you want to continue seeing these documentaries and videos about Kokka. Anyway, number 1, we have the modern Roman scutum. In my opinion, the most effective shield in all of Kokka. Here's why. The shape. We've already gone over this. The shape allows it to create shield walls and other formations like testudo, even wind-breaking formations, just very protective. And it's large, it's wide, it's almost a square. It's not, but it's a rectangle, but it's almost a square. So it provides tons of protection, but it's thin enough and thick enough where it offers super good protection, but also very light. Sorry. It's sleek. The arm guard has been improved. It's just a little cleaner. And the shape of it, like I said, is just good for that. It's big, so it offers, like I said, it's large enough to where it offers tons of protection, but it's also small enough to where it doesn't get in the way. That's why I rank it number 1.